Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben.
And I'm your co-host, Carissa.
Perfect timing. And everyone, welcome into today's program. So today on the show, in the second part of the program, we will have computer and technology news. That is anything that is, products, information-wise, anything newsworthy. It can be everything from policy to products to just interesting, fun stories. It's definitely a great segment. Stick around for that. But in the first part of the program, we will have a guest, and that guest is the one, the only NordPass. If you're watching the video portion, you can see it up there. But yeah, NordPass.com, or of course over in the show notes, we'll have a link to them. But yeah, today's show is going to be about password management, and even more than that, because we are filling out so much information all the time. Yeah, this is a very important one, and let's face it, I don't think there are that many passwords that are secure anymore. It's just gotten out of hand. So to help us explain that, we have NordPass here to talk about their product and their service and everything that a password manager can do for you. So everyone, real quick, computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything: past shows, future shows, videos, archives, articles, reviews. We have the podcast, of course, and yeah, social media links at Computer America. So I think with that being said, Carissa, unless there's any announcements from you, I think we're good.
I think we're ready to go.
Perfect. So as I said before, today NordPass, and if you haven't heard of them, maybe you have heard of their sister product, NordVPN. NordVPN, obviously, very, very good advertising campaigns, and I think as far as VPNs, they constantly rank as among the most secure. Yeah, that's right. Not all VPNs are made the same, and hey, that will obviously carry true for password managers. So joining us today is a spokesperson for NordPass, Miss Patricia Chaney. So Patricia, how you doing? Welcome on to Computer America.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. How are you?
We're doing well. Thank you for asking. So, I think a good place to start would be the beginning. And like I said before, I think a lot of people have heard of NordVPN. But if you could give us a little bit of background on NordPass and a little bit of your background. Have you always been working in tech, or yeah?
Yeah, sure. Starting with me, I have been working in tech for quite some time now. I've been working in B2B technology before I joined NordPass. And so to start with NordPass, it's a really new product. It was only launched back in 2019, November. So we're actually going to be celebrating our first year very soon.
Congrats.
So yeah, thank you so much. So it's a new password manager developed by security experts from NordVPN, as you mentioned before. NordVPN is a security and privacy app, which is trusted by 14 million users worldwide. Right. So there's definitely some good security experts there who needed their own password management solution internally. And that's how they created NordPass, right? So it was an app that at first was used internally between the developers and tried to manage their passwords within the company. But the product, they really liked the product. They liked how it worked. How secure it was, that they decided to make this into an external product. And that's where we have NordPass right now.
Yeah, and by the way, I was going to kind of show it here on the show again, and watching the video portion, like it's right here, but I put in all of my personal information, so I'm a little afraid to kind of show it on the air. So yeah, we're going to use the examples there on the website for for the sake of the interview, but. Why don't you go ahead and explain to our listeners? I think people at this point hopefully understand a password. Talk about the points or the benefits of a password manager, because many browsers come with a kind of a password manager, like that they'll save your password, but it's not exactly the same thing as a full-blown standalone product. So explain the benefits and I guess kind of the reason a password manager exists.
Yeah, you're right. So a lot of browsers do offer saving your password within the browser. While that's obviously great and convenient for users, we do encourage people to use a separate tool. A dedicated tool is always going to be better. And also you have the perks of, for example, 24/7 customer support, and more security, and also other handy features that browser may not be able to offer. So for example, NordPass does not only save your passwords, it can also save your secure notes. Where you can type in something secret or something really confidential and lock that in your password manager. Also, of course, credit cards, any other personal details you will want to autofill in later. And yeah, so it's always better to use a separate tool for all this separate information. NordPass will also help you generate the secure passwords online, so you can make sure that you're always using up to date and secure passwords. Also, as these products constantly evolve, and so does NordPass, there's going to be many more features that will be introduced later. So stay tuned for that. Of course, they're not live now, but as I was trying to say, these products always keep improving themselves. So that's a really good benefit of using a dedicated tool.
Yeah, and of course, I just went into the settings, and it's not that you, well, in a lot of cases, like browsers saving your passwords, you do replace that function, but you also kind of work with them. And I think that maybe one thing that would prevent people who are listening from saying, "Oh, I need to go check that out," or "Oh, I'll go, do that," is that they think it would be complicated. It's myself, I just exported all my passwords, and it turns out I had about 130 accounts across the internet, and yeah, no, I didn't know either, but like that's 130 different websites that ask me to come up with a unique password and kind of keep everything safe and monitor if they've had any kind of breach or things like that. But so Patricia, if you would explain the kind of onboarding process, or when someone first downloads NordPass, how complicated is it to get it set up and running?
It's actually really easy. So it depends on what kind of, whether a person has been using a different password manager before, or have they been storing it in browsers, or have they not used any solution. So it really depends on the person. But basically, you just, the user has to download the app, set up their master password, which will be the one and only password they will need. And that has to be really secure and something that needs to be memorized. And that's it. Then there's different options. You can import your passwords from the browser. You can import them from different password management managers if you've used that before, or you can simply just create them manually. So it's really, really easy. Everything is super easy. I mean, I'm kind of repeating myself because I just can't emphasize that enough. But yeah, and also if there's any difficulties, as I mentioned before, there's a customer support that will always be able to help you with the setup.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of this interview is there's going to be kind of new information. We're going to cover this product, I think, very, very well. But yeah, it's one of those things that a password manager should be simple. It's not something that you need to really over-engineer to do it right. So I'm perfectly okay with repeating ourselves just a little bit. So, and this is something that, we have a lot of cybersecurity professionals here on the program, and a lot of them have decried that the password is kind of old school. It's not a good system anymore because, again, to my example, I have 130 different accounts. To think that I would come up with 130 separate and unique and complex passwords, I don't know a human on earth that could probably do that. And so as someone who, works with, or I should say, makes a product that manages passwords, do you kind of share that sentiment, or, the researchers or anyone else that you've heard their opinion that, passwords as they stand today, they can't keep going on like this? Like, there has to be a change, and I guess you guys think that a password manager is that change.
Yes. So, I mean, this is a big debate, right? So we don't know where technology is going to take us forward in, I don't know, 50 years or 20 years or even 5 years. But at the moment, passwords are the way to go. And therefore, as you mentioned, we think that password manager is that solution. Because biometrics are still not quite there. Also, some people think that they're too complicated it's too complicated to use. So passwords, like it or not, they're still the main thing that keeps us secure on the web. And as you mentioned, it's really difficult to come up with 130 in your case, different complex, unique passwords. Actually, we have done a study where we've asked people how many accounts they have, and on average, an average person has somewhere from 70 to 80 accounts. So that's not quite a lot as you have.
I'm above average. That's good.
You are, yeah, definitely. But it's still a lot of accounts, right? 70 or 80 accounts, it's a lot. So even remembering 70 different passwords, and they have to be complex, right? So that's nearly impossible. I would say it's impossible for me. So we think the password management is that solution, and at the moment there's nothing better.
Right.
Of course, we also encourage people to do the multi-factor authentication. Whether that's a physical key or biometrics or something like that. That's of course just additional step that will make you even more secure online.
Yeah, there's a couple different key features that I wanted to cover, but going back to what you said, that there's nothing better at the moment. One thing that I guess a lot of professionals are looking into is biometric data that you like a password, you sit there, you think of a password, you put it in, like it's your creativity. And, you know, a lot of times people aren't that creative, so they use the same password over and over again. The other solution is taking a unique piece of data from a person, like, you know, me, Ben, you know, the way my heart beats, the way I breathe, the way I move the mouse, these little biometric markers that are unique to me. And like you said, that's not here yet. They're working on that. We've had IBM research on the show and stuff like that. Very, very experimental. It'll be here one day, but I wanted to ask, because you mentioned two-factor authentication. I'm assuming that's either an app or a smartphone or, you know, some other way to, you know, kind of send a code and two-factor authenticate. You know, companies such as Intel, Microsoft, and Apple with Face ID, a lot of them, you know, use webcams and pictures, and, you know, they'll kind of scan your face and do that kind of thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not seeing anything for like fingerprint scans or, you know, webcam access or things like that. NordPass so far has not implemented biometric information. Is that something that you guys have talked about in the lab, or was that on purpose that, you know, you just don't think the technology is ready for that yet?
So we are currently working on it, it's on the roadmap. Also, we are soon launching a physical key authentication. So that's another thing that is on roadmap, which we're really excited about.
The physical key is another thing that has been around for quite a while, but that would be even safer because, Carissa, if you just want to real quick tell our guests and tell the audience what you told me before the show about how you kind of keep your passwords.
Yeah, right now I just kind of use a notebook. I know they say you're not supposed to keep them all in one place or written down or anything like that, but I just have a notebook. I just kind of keep it in random spots around the house. I'm kind of out of luck if I lose it, which is a downside.
But it is a physical object, and I think it's, you know, much like the thing that they're working on to kind of physically, you know, kind of retrieve your passwords. Right. It's not unheard of, I guess, Carissa. You're probably very common.
Well, that's good. At least it's not just me.
Definitely
breaking the rules.
Yeah, definitely. And by the way, you know, obviously Carissa has a notebook. I have a very, very not secure web browser. And Patricia, password stress, like, you know, coming up with a password, remembering your passwords, that kind of thing. Like, I know that some people, if they don't have access to their home computer, they can't get into their accounts because they never even remember their password. Does password management stress people out?
Yes, actually it does, and we've done quite an interesting study on this because we were, you know, before launching the product, we were interested in, well, we think that's stressful. Do people think it's stressful too? And interestingly enough, we have discovered that more than 30% of US and UK populations find password management as stressful as retiring. So that's obviously a really stressful event in life, and password management was compared to that. In addition to that, people experience even more stress if their passwords are lost with no recovery option. So such an event could be compared to other life-challenging situations, for example, changing jobs, or getting married, or even facing an illness. So that proved to be very, very stressful. And that kind of, it didn't surprise us because we feel the same, but it was interesting to see that a wider population feel like that about password management.
So, no, you're absolutely right. And I wanted to kind of ask because password managers in, you know, from other companies have been on the market for a number of years. And obviously NordPass coming in with this new offering. Whenever a company kind of breaks into an existing market, they believe there is something that their competitors are not offering. For you, is that integration with the other Nord products, or is that you just feel like NordPass can do password managing better than other companies? How would you kind of say that you really set yourself apart from others in your field?
Obviously I don't want to talk too much about the competition.
No names, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. We think we use state-of-the-art algorithm, which is the X-Cha-Cha-20. This is the absolute state-of-the-art algorithm, which keeps your passwords really, really secure. We also really trust in our team because they have a really good experience building other products such as the VPN. So as you mentioned, the whole integration of the security is really there, and the knowledge behind the product is really there. So we really trust our team in that. We are still growing. We're still new. So there's a lot of interesting and handy features on the roadmap. Where we're going to have some really exciting stuff. But at the moment, we really stand out with the simplicity and security. So we really combine those things together, which sets us apart. Also, we have been independently audited. We think that's really important, and that really makes us stand out because we don't just say to our users, "Oh, just take our word for it." No, so we have done an independent audit, which confirmed that that what we say is true.
Yeah, no, and that's why I was really excited to have you on the show, because for NordVPN in the last time that we had them on, and since then they are audited as well, and many VPNs out there, because there's a lot of offerings, there's even free ones, there are other paid ones, and time again, NordVPN is ranked as one of the most secure, because even other VPNs will kind of keep personal information such as IP logins and kind of session lengths and things like that, things that they say that they won't do and then they go and do it. NordVPN is constantly very, very secure with its logs, and hey, they sell a service and they do that service. It's something very admirable. So when I heard about NordPass, I was like, yeah, they're probably independently verified, and that's something that I guess cybersecurity professionals really look for, because that's there's a lot of take my word for it, like you just said, and I'm glad that you didn't do that. So.
Yeah, that's correct. So it's easy to say good things about yourself, but yeah, I guess you have to prove it.
For sure. So we have this. We have this next question here, and this really gets to the heart of it. Why Ben with 130 accounts doesn't always create the best, strongest passwords. Sometimes he may be prone to using the same password over and over again.
I use the best passwords.
Yeah, exactly. Not the best at all, but. What makes a strong password? And I think this is why password managers are going to be so important. But what makes, in your opinion, or I guess through your tool, a strong password?
Right. So just to quickly touch on the reuse of password, as you mentioned. 63% of people, according to our study, reuse their passwords. So that's a really, really large amount. So first things first, what makes a strong password? It's not a reused one, right? It has to be unique. That's the main rule. And then, of course, I'm pretty sure listeners have heard this, but you can never talk enough about this. So it has to be a lengthy one. So we recommend shortest should be on 8 characters, anywhere to 12 characters or even more. It has to combine letters and numbers and characters. Special characters, and all of that. So it has to be a random one. It shouldn't be a phrase with no special characters or anything. It also shouldn't be something that could easily identify you. So, for example, it shouldn't be your name. Shouldn't be your dog's name or your mom's name or the favorite football team. It should be something that is quite random and shouldn't be identified. And of course, nothing that is too easy, like 12345 or password. That shouldn't be a password. And shockingly, people do that. 12345 is the most popular password, according to research. So yeah, nothing like that. So once again, a lengthy one which contains different letters, numbers, characters, and unique.
Yeah, it's and you know, every year we look for that report that says, you know, these are the most common passwords, and time again, it's football one, baseball one, you know.
Correct.
Those are the password is a secret, and you know, password is password, things like that. They always make the list, and it's sad because, hey, you know, it happens all the time. And so with that being said, I got to say that reusing passwords is also a problem because you don't always remember the places that you reuse them. And I just wanted to tell one quick anecdote that one of my passwords that I've stopped using was compromised because of, and Carissa, you might get a kick out of this. It was compromised from my Neopets account back when I was about 10 or 11 years old. And I was still using the password in a very, since 2007 or 6 or something like that. They've made you make more complex ones. But yeah, my Neopets account was hacked. So I hope all my critters are okay. And
you have all your points and stuff.
Yeah, my Neo points. But I got to say, reusing passwords is very, very bad. And that's why Password Manager, again, to be clear, will make passwords for you. And I think that scares some people because, you know, they didn't make it, so they're afraid they might get locked out of it. But Patricia, you can kind of assure people that, you know, they can still find the password if they need it, right? Even if they never made it or don't know what it is, they can still find it at some point.
Yes, of course. So even if you don't think of your own password and you let the password manager do that for you, of course you can find it again. You can see it. It's not going to be just, you know, those dots that hide the characters. You can click on the icon and you can see it. You can memorize it if you want by heart, if that makes you feel better. But of course, that's what Password Manager is. You should memorize it. And all you need is to remember your master password, which the only password that you need to access all of these passwords. So no, people won't get locked out of all of their accounts just because they let the password manager do it for them.
Perfect. And by the way, I'm kind of browsing on the off screens, and I'm starting to see the little NordPass logo pop up in the field. So, yeah, you know that it's working. You know, it's not just it's not just the browser, you know, continuing to do its thing. So I have to ask that. Not ask, but say when I signed up for the service and I started the whole process, they said come up with a master password, which I did. You know, it was as complex as I could make it. And still remember it. And they said that if you lose your master password and you also give people a recovery code, which we can talk about real quick, but if you lose both, you do warn everything is doomed. Because you don't store it on your servers, you know, you're audited, and you mentioned that, you know, you don't keep anything like that. If you lose the recovery code, if you lose the password, even if you can log into your Nord account, they, you know, I guess your representatives just kind of have to say, oh, we can't really help you. We're really sorry about that.
Yeah, that's correct. So as we NordPass has zero knowledge architecture, right? So no one knows those passwords that are in your vault. Not even NordPass employees, not NordVPN employees. No one knows them apart from yourself. And I guess that's one thing. If you lose the master password, if you lose the recovery key, then that's as the copywriters wrote in the script here, I guess you're doomed.
Right.
So
write it down in Carissa's notebook is what you're saying. You know, keep a physical copy of your recovery code.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, they do. It does get emailed to you. So I hope that will be the way to keep it safe.
Right. Yeah. It's and of course there are a number of other features that one other one that I wanted to kind of mention, and obviously we have the payment here, and we'll talk about the payment and things like that. But there's the free version, which so far from my kind of looking through, there's no pop-up ads. There's no kind of any. It's not very intrusive. It doesn't kind of hammer away, say, hey, upgrade. It's the base product. You get it. You get a couple other features. Although it looks like one feature that was included that doesn't seem to here. That doesn't seem to be here. But it is noted in the product is that you do security updates. And this is super important. I think you partnered with Have I Been Pwned, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what the press release that kind of led us to have you on the show. But yeah, how do you do security checks? And it's not just so much that you have secure passwords, but you have to know when your passwords are compromised as well.
Yes, that's correct. So that is actually going to be our upcoming feature, which will be this dark web monitoring partnered with Have I Been Pwned. So it will inform the users whether their password has been breached, and of course, then they should change that immediately. So that's something that we're really excited about. It should be coming in next month or so. And we're really, really excited about that. And as I mentioned before, we'll let users know if their password has been breached.
Definitely, and I'm also guessing that you're going to make it pretty simple for people to change that, because again, coming up with a new password, it can be stressful. But yeah, I'm hoping there's some kind of like one-click change.
Yes, definitely. So users will be able to generate their new secure unique password with NordPass in just a simple click, and that will be really easy to use.
I gotcha. So yeah, and so we've talked about strong passwords, weak passwords. I think everyone, kind of knows about that. Although I did pull up a website, I just closed it. Let's see, I can reopen it here, and it's talking about how long it takes. Now, obviously, not every criminal who gets your password, or even like an encrypted password, because a lot of them are stored, most companies store them using a hash and encryption and all that good stuff. They to decrypt it, most criminals don't have access to a supercomputer. But hey, that's how people kind of talk about decrypting passwords and how long it takes. So I wanted you to kind of scare our audience a little bit and talk about how long it takes, maybe a simple password or a commonly reused password. How long does it take to kind of break into an account that has a weak password?
It's scary because a weak password can be cracked almost instantly. So, for example, the most popular password, well, at least the most popular password from 2019, which is 12345, can be cracked in less than a second. So that's obviously almost instantly. And really, really quickly. And in fact, we did calculate from the most popular passwords list, nearly 70%, 69.5% to be precise, of these most popular passwords can be cracked in less than a second. So a lot of these simple passwords can be cracked instantly. And if the user is interested, you can check that online. NordPass has this tool on its webpage as well. So anyone can type in their password and check how long would it take to crack it. And it will also show you whether it has been breached before. Again, we partner up here with Have I Been Pwned, and you can see that.
Yeah, I'm actually. Oh, and you can see here just how complex, and you can set the length and things like that. And yeah, you mentioned you had that feature, which I think would be
It
somewhere.
should be in the footer.
Oh, footer. So all the way down here,
Yeah,
and
password strength checker.
password generator, password strength checker. There we go. I found it. So yeah, it's let's see. Yeah, so you can do it there. I also found this other website. I mean, you have the one right there, and it's perfect. There's also this one is kind of my go-to to show examples for people, and it doesn't show the characters I'm typing in, but just pretty basic, just tapping on numbers and letters. Goes from a couple seconds to a couple minutes, but then like it very quickly, you see it goes from 16 minutes to 9 hours, which is still pretty manageable. Throw in a special character, turns into 23 years. Throw in two more special characters, 11,698 years. Just like adding that one or two extra characters, you quickly change from a couple hours to now we're up to 51 million years. Yeah,
A lot of years.
it's definitely good to have that. Just a little bit more complexity makes it infinitely more secure. So I'm glad that you can set
correct.
the length. Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, that's really easy. As you said, just a couple of characters really make that difference, and it's amazing that anyone can really quickly check it online.
And yeah, like right there, that's one of my go-to kind of throwaway passwords. And that password has been exposed 12 times, so I got to stop using that password. So luckily I have NordPass, so we're okay. Yeah, so going through our questions, and let's go ahead and talk about this last one. Talking about security experts, I'm sure that you have a number of them working with you in your labs, but obviously the cybersecurity space is all about collaboration, talking with people, and bringing in new ideas. What are some of the tips that security experts give for people who want to better protect their accounts?
Sure. So as you mentioned, cybersecurity is not only passwords. There's a lot of things that people can do to better their security online. So some of the tips are, of course, number one is to create strong passwords, because hey, it's still really, really important. We also, as mentioned before, we encourage people to secure your accounts with two-factor authentication. We also encourage people to be careful on public Wi-Fi. So here we always encourage people to use a VPN if they do log in onto public Wi-Fi's. Also use other security solutions, for example, an antivirus, or some sort of encryption if you're working on sensitive files, an encryption service, and any other technology that will help you be better online and be more secure. We also really encourage people to keep their apps and operating systems updated. So you probably, and your audience, of course, knows that a lot of these fixes and bug fixes and updates, you might be so tempted to hit, oh, I will just update this later. But it's actually really important to update your apps, because they come with some security fixes.
And really to that point, real quick, I just have to say that most of the high profile cyber breaches and crimes, and entire healthcare systems being compromised, entire school systems here in the US being compromised, government agencies being compromised, the number one reason that it happens isn't because there was some super mega hacker from Hollywood tapping away in some super secret laboratory. It's because they didn't either A, they couldn't because they're still running Windows XP, or B, they're running an old version of a software that they never updated. And the malware that compromises them is already known. There's already definitions that can already be stopped. It's just no one ever updates. And yeah, not updating
Yeah.
seems to be like the number one way people get breached.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm really glad you shared this. Yeah, that's sad. I mean, I really know how tempting it is to, hit that I'll do it later,
It's like the
remind me
snooze
later.
button, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's security experts do really encourage people not to do that. So yeah, and then just other tips. We always say that you shouldn't give up more data than you must, and you shouldn't overshare on social media. That's also really really important, and just be vigilant and careful if something doesn't seem right, if something seems too good too good to be true. Sorry. So for example, you get an amazing offer, a job offer or something, and it seems too good to be true. It's probably not true. And it's probably some sort of phishing scam. So just be vigilant and careful, and don't take everything for granted.
Gotcha. Oh, and we had one more question here, and let's go ahead and talk about this, and then we're probably going to wrap up here in a minute. But one I definitely wanted to ask was password resets. People will forget their password and they'll reset. And according to my notes, you've, much like the stress of remembering a password, it looks like you've done a little bit of research on this one as well. Which passwords do people reset the most often, and why?
Yeah, sure. So glad you asked this. This is actually quite interesting, another quite interesting research that we've done. We were looking into which passwords do people reset most often, just trying to understand why that could be and how, if there's any way we could help people. People want to reset their email, operating systems, and Google account passwords most often. So, for example, with the email, which was the total winner, and we did research US, UK, and Australian populations, and it was the winner in all three markets. So we have a theory of why do people want to reset their email passwords most often. So we think that's probably because they use a simple login once, and they just keep it open and never log in again.
Yeah.
So this password is barely used, although very important, but barely used. And once they use a new device or they log into a friend's device, they just simply can't remember, and then they have to reset it. So
That's definitely a big one, and I definitely do the same thing where I haven't logged into my email in months because, especially with everyone working from home, most people are using one device constantly. You have one computer, one laptop, one tablet, whatever. You're right. And that's very interesting. And I'm actually kind of wondering myself, if I needed to reset my email, where does that reset go? Because I don't even know at the moment. So.
Yeah, and exactly. So, and then that's how people just because they don't reset it often, they don't log in often. That's where they really look it up, that happens really often. And we also looked in then the operating systems. Here we have a theory that this is the password that you probably use every day. So for example, you log into your computer, whether that's Windows or Mac, you use that password every day. So our presumption here, while it's used very often, it's actually quite difficult to reset it. So for example, we looked into several different operating systems, and for example, Windows 10 involves a six-step procedure into password reset. So that's quite a lengthy process, quite difficult to reset it. So that's why people get confused and then always look it up, because it's really hard to remember. And then, as I mentioned, the third one was for all Google accounts. So whether that's Gmail, YouTube, and other important Google family apps. So here we presume that it's very similar to the email. situation. Again, users probably don't log into YouTube every time. They just do a single login and that's it. And then when they have to remember that password, it's really difficult. So
I can, yeah, and I could definitely imagine because we also do kind of browser numbers. I think Chrome just breached like 70% or, of market share. Chrome is by far the most dominant web browser out there, and obviously Chrome would be very good at keeping people logged in on Google services, because they're the same company. So I'm sure that there's a lot of that there as well. So that is actually very interesting. And hey, hopefully you never have to reset a password again because it'll all be saved by a third-party program. And one thing I should ask though, many services out there authenticate through the internet, and I have to ask, if let's say you turn on your computer, you don't have your internet, but you still want access to your passwords, will it lock you out because it doesn't kind of make that handshake over the internet, or can you still access your passwords if you're not connected to the internet?
Yes, you can still. We do have a feature, and you can. We do have this feature, and you can still access your passwords even if you're online. So that's obviously really handy, as you mentioned before. And so you won't be locked out of your accounts.
Definitely. The last thing that I think we'll talk about, and then we'll have another time for a comment, but I wanted to cover the difference between the free and the subscription service and how much that is.
Sure. So the subscription service is $2.49 per month. And the differences are between the free and premium version is that on the free one, you can only have one device, whereas for premium, you can have up to 6 devices. And there are several other features, for example, like we have a feature called Trusted Contacts, where there's a secure item sharing, really easy, just a simple click with your trusted contact. So that's not included in the free version. And that's it. As I mentioned before, we do have some upcoming features like that dark web monitoring. That's not going to be included in the free version. However, the free version is also pretty good. Just if you want to start things out and see if the password manager is a good fit for you, it's really a good step. It's a good place to start.
Right. And then I also stumbled upon this other one, which is a NordPass family. Obviously, some people, hopefully most people, have family, and they have kids and kids and a spouse and all that good stuff. If you want to, I guess, set your kids up with with an account, but obviously a lot of places don't. Hey, a 13-year-old uses passwords, but they don't have a credit card. So I'm guessing the password family, or the NordPass for family, is something that I guess people could be interested in, if they have more people to secure, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So that's so it's up to 5 unique accounts. You can share with your family or friends, and it's 5 premium accounts that you can have with the family plan.
For $4. So 5 accounts, one does $2.50, 5 for $4. Obviously makes a lot of money sense there. And this is maybe it hasn't been discussed yet, or has not been mentioned. When you go through the application, you can see NordLocker and NordVPN through the service, and they kind of encourage you to go check those out if you're interested. Any plans on maybe integrating it with like a NordVPN premium service, or any kind of like bundle service that you're going to, let's say someone already has NordVPN, could they be, bundled into a NordPass?
So we do offer some bundle deals, but that's with regards to a better pricing. So users, of course, can check that out. But they are separate apps,
Right.
which can be accessed with one account. But they are separate
Gotcha.
and need to be downloaded separately.
I gotcha. So yeah, there you go. And of course, there's mobile app. I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, iOS and Android as well.
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
perfect. And of course, everyone, NordPass.com. Patricia, I'll let you have one more chance to. Is there anything that we didn't cover? Anything that you wanted to kind of talk about?
No, I think that's it. I think we've covered quite a lot.
Yeah, I know that sometimes people come on the show and they're worried that's like 30 minutes, that seems like so long. We'll never be able to fill the time. And I want to thank you for staying along, and thank you for joining us for as long as you did. And I think a lot of great information was shared. Again, computeramerica.com will have a link to nordpass.com right there. Everyone, once again, we've been talking to Ms. Patricia Chaney. She is the spokesperson for NordPass, and you did a great job. Thank you so much for coming on the show and telling us about this.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm really, I had fun. So
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
That's what we love to hear. And of course, we'll be in touch, maybe in a couple months or a year, we'll get in touch again and see how things have developed and how, some of the new features and your roadmap seems pretty busy. So I'm looking forward to what NordPass is working on. So there you go.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. So we'll definitely, hopefully we can get in touch again, and I can tell you more exciting things and more researches.
Absolutely. So everyone, again, you can find that there. And Patricia, thank you so much. We're going to be very, very rude and kick you out of the call. But now we're going to we're going to do computer and technology news. So have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye. All right, there you go. And there goes Patricia. So everyone, NordPass. Carissa, did you learn anything?
I learned a few different things. Yeah, I thought it was a really good segment, and I was surprised to hear, how often people don't change their passwords, because I do it. I'd probably say once every 3 months or so, which is probably more than some people do it.
that is more than I've ever heard, if I'm being honest.
Really?
Again, I talk to a lot of security professionals, and that's more than I've ever heard. That's very, very good hygiene when it comes to kind of password management. But I've also, and this is something that Mike Cermak and Scott Schober, who are regular correspondents, they always say get a password manager. And today we interviewed NordPass. I got to say though that any password manager is better than no password manager. So far, my experience with NordPass, very, very simple, not intrusive. It works very, very well. But any password manager is better than no password manager. So I hope that people out there, and one thing I didn't mention because, just talking about it too much, but I got to say that storing passwords in your browser, I know that a lot of people do that. The problem with that though, is that if anyone gets access to your computer, the passwords are saved in plain text. Like if they know your PIN number and they get physical access to your computer, which is, not the easiest thing in the world to do, but totally possible. Your passwords are stored in plain text. They're not encrypted. They're not, whatever. Right. So it's actually it's not a secure thing to keep them in a browser. It's better to have a password manager. So
that makes sense. And she did kind of silence a lot of the fears that I had about those too. So maybe I'll go ahead and download that, see what it's about.
Absolutely. It's, kind of foolproof. Again, not sponsored, but I think it was a good segment, and I hope that everyone is safer for it. So there you go. Everyone, we have a bit more time left. Why don't we go ahead and do computer and technology news, if that's okay with you?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Everyone, computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America. Let's do this one. And obviously, we are going to be talking more and more about the elections a bit later. And I think that, yeah, we'll do this one. So the elections are coming up November 3rd, anyone who didn't know. And yeah, it's one of those things that I think over the past 4 years, especially over the past 12 years, I would say even more so, we have seen the importance of elections. And I think there with the 12 years, I go back that far. I mean, elections have always been important, but over the past 12 years, social media has, kind of become more and more of a thing. And so with that being said, this huge push on social media, you're seeing it on Facebook, you're seeing it on Twitter, and now you're seeing it on Snapchat to register to vote. Luckily, most of them are being very agnostic about it. They'd rather you be registered to vote than, kind of telling you who to vote for. Mm-hmm. But I do like this one, and Snapchat is actually getting people to register to vote through the app. And through the app, I believe. Through the app, indeed. So you can't vote through apps. And this is a topic covered often by, from a cybersecurity standpoint and a national security standpoint. Elections are not ready to be hosted on the internet. Boy, Carissa,
I disagree,
it would be.
But
why do you disagree? Let's talk about that real quick. But yeah, why do you disagree?
Everything's done on the internet. If you can do your bank transactions, if you can purchase houses and cars and people off of the internet, you should be able to vote on the internet.
The thing is that people trust banks because they, you can see your account and you know what's happening. People don't trust the internet. And on top of that, they're not secure. Like, we've spent decades, the past 60 years, really securing internet-based bank transfers. The internet, you can't just slap a poll onto Facebook and go, this will never be meddled with, and there you go. I mean, we saw what happened with let's see, I think it was Amazon web services got attacked and like a third of the internet went down.
But why couldn't you use the same structure for banking, for example, for voting?
You cannot do that because
the security
banks
bits, anyway,
are a singular entity that span multiple jurisdictions, and there are lots of regulations put on them. Every individual state, all 50 states and Guam and Puerto Rico, they all states are handled by the state level, the local officials, and even down to the county. To get every single one of those onto the same network, the same architecture, the same service, that is not something the federal government can mandate. That's something that has to happen state by state. And then, of course, you have to think about cost and actually implementing it. There's a lot of, kind of cutting corners. There's a lot that that would have to go right. And it would take years and years and years. Like I said, it took banking 60 years to get it to the point where it is today. It would take, I think, as long for that to happen across state lines. It would be really easy if the federal government created the healthcare platform, the online healthcare market. It would be great if they could do something like that for elections, but that's not possible. That's unconstitutional and just unfortunately won't happen. On top of that, like I said, it is codified that it's like the first Wednesday or the first Tuesday of November will be election day, and you can only have the one day for elections. Of course, we have kind of pre-voting and provisional ballots and things like that. But imagine if Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure Cloud or Google services, imagine if they crashed on November, you would have to have a whole new election. That's just not something that you can really do. Like, the Constitution, unfortunately, did not take into account the internet. And it's just...
Curse them.
Yeah, curse those founding fathers. They were so forward thinking in so many different regards, but how did they not know that we would all be able to pull up pictures of cats instantly? Man, if only they knew. But yeah, the technology, Carissa, technology is there to send secure, traceable, get a receipt, have a verifiable sending of information. That's there. The network and the infrastructure and the actual implementation of that kind of system, far from, I would say impossible by our current standards, because it has to happen in so many different ways, and it has to be completely tamper-proof and completely, I'm going to mess up on this word because I have a stutter, completely auditable. It has to be able to be audited. So,
right.
Yeah, not possible.
All right, that makes sense.
Now, and you know, I'm very glad that you asked that, because I think a lot of people have the same thought. You know, I do my banking, I receive information from the government, I send private information all the time using the internet. Why can't I vote? Trust me, I would love it if I could just log onto Facebook and just click a couple bubbles and submit my ballot. That would be incredible, perfect, amazing, but we're not there yet. It's going to take a lot of reform, and hey, you know, we're currently not focused on that. But we are focused on using apps to at least register to vote. And that's something that I guess traditionally has been done on college campuses. If you go there, you know, there are booths saying, hey, register to vote, your vote matters, blah, blah, blah. If you go to grocery stores, they have people outside saying, hey, register to vote. You go to your local town hall, police station. There are lots of places that they try to get you to register to vote, because voting is a very important aspect of living in a democracy, to get on my high horse, my soapbox. And it's very nice that in the day and age of COVID-19, quarantining, you can't get out there, and heck, getting in line to do anything could prove to be fatal. Yeah, looks like social media has picked up that mantle, and more than 400,000 people have registered to vote on social media. To be specific, they have the Register to Vote portal that has inducted 4,724 people into, I guess, being voters. The Snapchat app allows users to register to vote with a feature put in place by partnership with TurboVote. And yeah, so if you have Snapchat and you would like to vote, hey, I see a beautiful combination that you can take advantage of. Carissa, I know that you pulled up a ton of stories. We're not going to be able to get to any of them, especially the Japanese robot market. But
dang it.
Yeah, we'll save that for another day. Everyone, music in the background means we're done. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. And everyone, have a great day. Thank you again to NordPass for coming on the program. A lot of fun. You can check them out. Everyone, check out the show notes. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Marilyn.